Hello and welcome to the Choppable Trees project integration tutorial. This will be for setting it up if you already have an existing project. And right now I got this action RPG starter system asset from Unreal Engine for free for the month a while back, and figured it'd be a good example of how to set something up with something that's already exists. And this one's pretty complicated. This is a big project, so I don't know how to unequip these swords, so we're just gonna pretend that it's not there, and we're just gonna add the axe on top of it and swap out the skill set, or not the skill set, the action bar or whatever, so that when you chop, it'll chop the tree. But setting up the trees itself shouldn't be too hard, so let's get started. Alright, so first thing, in world settings, we're gonna try and find our character class in game mode. It's not there. Usually you'll just go into here and like find your character blueprint, but I don't know which one they use without doing a search real quick. But if we go into game mode, maps and modes, looks like they're using RPG character. You can search to that. So find your character blueprint, go into there. This already has a bunch of stuff. Components and whatnot. You're going to add a component, and you're going to add the tool component. And so let's see, there we go. Tool component's been added. Let's go into viewport. One more thing, in the character that you want to go select the tool component and make sure you set component replicates, especially if you're doing multiplayer. So that's a little one. So now if we hit play, Alt tab, oops, minimize this. You can see in his hand the axe is equipped. It's in his left hand. You're going to want to change that if you're using different animations, but for the animation it comes with for the demo, that is correct. And now when we click, we need to be able to activate the animation, so that's the next step. So inside of the Choppable Trees folder in Blueprints, if you go into the tool component, you'll see that there's this enhanced input action, left click. That is how we are going to swing the axe. You'll need to set this up. Alternatively, you could just use this left mouse button press. But since we're using enhanced input, we might as well do that. So if we can look in here, let's look for input. Oh boy. Let me guess, IMC default, check mappings. What do we call it? We called it IA left click. Let's just, you can create a new one and map it, but I'm wondering if I can just map it to left mouse action. Left mouse action, bonk. So I could just do this because this already exists, but since we're doing this, we might as well make another one. I don't know if you can have two inputs. Can you? Yeah, so you can have two inputs for the same button. That's good to know. And now you need to create a data or an input action data asset. Let's just see if IA left click. Is that in Choppable Trees? Yeah. So select IA left click. And this is how you add the left click input action to your current enhanced input settings. If you don't have enhanced input settings, you can look up how to set that up, or again, as I said, you can just use this left mouse button and drag that in there. So let's see. Technically, I don't think this should work right now because the animations are not set up. So in our controller, this is currently this is mapped so that when we press the left mouse button, it's swinging that. I'm going to unplug it. So next step is retargeting animations. Sorry if my nose is stuffy right now. I think I'm either fighting a cold or allergies or something, but anyway. So make sure your mesh, it'll be easier if you're using like a Mani, the Unreal Engine 5 mannequin, because that's what we're using in Choppable Trees. So in Choppable Trees, excuse me, let's see. go into demo folder, and we want to find our animation. I believe the axe swing is what we're looking for. Could probably just use one of the swinging animations I already have, but you want to retarget animation asset, duplicate and retarget anim. I'm going to use that mannequin retargeter. I think it'll work, we hope. And so we want to select the same simple, but it's going to be the one that is in your project. In this case, it's the action RPG. So it's that first one. There we go. Hit retarget. Let's just see if this works. Alright, so that's retargeting that animation. So that's the first one. You just do the same thing for the next one. You can do 2 at a time, but I just wanted to do one to make sure that it didn't get messed up. So again, you go to your animation, demo animation, go to retarget, duplicate and retarget, pick the IK retarget mannequin. You might have to use a special retargeter if you're using a different mesh that's not based on the mannequin, which you can look that up if you need to. And we'll retarget that again. So these are our new animations. So now we just have to set those up and where they go, and that's the next step. So to do that, you're going to go find the Choppable Trees folder, into Blueprint, get into Axe 2. We have 2 variables here for vertical axe montage and swing montage. You can go in and find them. Looks like this one. But what I'm going to do is just drag and drop them so we know it's the correct ones without having to make sure we're looking up the right thing. So this is vertical. Just go like this into vertical. Select your horizontal and drag and drop that there. Compile. And hopefully that'll work. Let's test it. Oh yeah, I forgot. So I set this up originally so you can't swing the axe unless there's actually a tree there. I kind of regret doing that, but at the time it sounded like a good idea, so that might be something you want to modify. But for now, let's set up the trees. So go into Blueprint, and we should find Sliceable Tree. Let's drag one there. Then we go into Meshes. Make sure you have Details select, or not Meshes, you go into Tree Meshes. So Demo Tree Meshes. Select in Details panel, you'll see Tree Trunk Mesh. Bring that over here and drop the branches here. That should be good. There's one more thing we need to do real quick, which is add a resource trace channel. So go into Project Settings, type in Trace Channel. New trace channel, call it resource with a capital R, set it to ignore, hit accept, and then just as in the normal project, we're going to go back into our axe. Double check that our traces have, yeah, so that changed. Our trace channel says top down mouse. Refresh these nodes. And we need to set that to be resource for all of these trace channels. If you don't have custom trace channel in your project, then it will just default to resource. I actually didn't know this would happen, so that's interesting. So go in there. I think there's 4. So that'll do that. One more thing, we need to add those trace channels to our sliceable tree, static tree brush, or static tree mesh. Go down into collisions, go block on resource, and then tree procedural mesh, go into the collision presets and also block there. So tree procedural mesh and static tree mesh need to block resource trace channel. That way when you swing the axe, it'll hit. And our axe 2, you change the sphere trace channels to resource. There's 4 of them, and they're kind of vertically aligned a little bit, sort of. And that should be good. Let's hit play. So there's the tree. Not quite yet. All right, what next? Oh yeah, and there's one more thing that's kind of a little gotcha thing that might not work. If you're wondering why is the animation not playing that you just copied, you probably have to set your default group in the animation montages for the slots. Try default slot. So what you can do actually is go into your Anim blueprint, and if you go to Anim graph, you can see what kind of slots they're using. This is full body, and they also use default slots, so they don't have upper body animation blending, which is something I like to do in my projects, but they do not. So you can either use default slot or full body. All right. We are now chopping the tree in a game that is pretty much mostly made. And oh, he won't be able to hit it very good because look, notice how it's only a upper body animation. So we'll probably want to change it to full body from default slot. Let's try that. Save. Because of the way the bones are set up, the blending is probably very stiff, which you can adjust if you know how. Let's just see. All right. It's weird that it didn't make the sound of falling all the way. Come on. Played the animation. How are we missing? Why are we missing? What's going on here? Maybe I missed the trace channel. Hold up. So if you notice that your character's having a hard time hitting the axe, you can go in and hitting the tree. You can change your axe trace radius in axe 2. It's like defaults to 35. I'm just gonna make it real big with 45. Okay, so yeah, it was exactly as I had thought. This is a very important step. If you can only hit half of the tree when it's chopped, it's because in Sliceable Tree, we need to update this resource channel to be resource. So I didn't know this was going to be an issue because I didn't know that these would change when added to a project. I thought they would stay the same. So I'm probably gonna have to create a variable here and default that to resource, except it won't exist in their project. So just go into Sliceable Tree, inside of multicast slice procedural, change collision response to channel to resource, and that should work now. Definitely, I think I'm going to add that. Oop. Yeah, so that hits now. Definitely, I think I should add that as a variable. So that's the debugging portion of this project. Oh, got some rolling. Yeah, and now we can hit it, and it chops. So, I is inventory. This is their inventory. This is the one that I've created. Right now, he's not picking stuff up. So that's probably a cast issue or something. So if we go into our blueprints, into item collider, on component PN, yeah. So see how this says cast a third-person character? I need a. Oh no, this got unplugged. Oh no, this needs to be plugged in. This would tell you that the cast is failing. I don't know why this is unplugged. That's annoying because I'm gonna have to submit an update now with that plugged in, and that's such a small little thing. But I'll do that anyways. 2 updates I'm gonna do is make this a variable so you guys don't have to change it as much, and change this to be our character. So our character is BP ARPG character. So cast to BP ARPG character. I'm just going to swap these in. Put that there. I'm going to put cast filled here. And we'll get our tool component. So say tool component. And we'll just plug that into there. You can just drag this up. So that's good to replace. I'll probably highlight that and make sure this error is plugged in so it's easier to find. That should have been plugged in. I don't know why it wasn't again. So let's go in. All of our debugging is good. Almost there. There we go. So now you check inventory with I. You see that we have 30 logs in our inventory. And that is the setup for an integration for Choppable Trees 1.1 after many of the updates. It's a little involved, but not too bad. I'm going to make it a little simpler by adding that resource channel as a variable and make sure that that cast failed warning message is plugged in so you know to update that in Anim Collider. I'll also add that to the documents. Anyways, hope this helps with your projects. It's a pretty awesome tree like chopping thing, you know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm like fighting a cold. Thanks for watching. Hope it helps. And as always, till next time, peace.